this is your first time tuning in, here on this channel we talk about film, fashion, and photography, all three things that I love. My name is David Wilson II, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Canon EOS R after 9 months, and hopefully this will help anybody who is still on the fence about buying this camera in 2023. Let's talk about it. Dear Chicago. What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My name is David Wilson II, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at the Canon EOS R. I did a review back in February talking about this camera, and it was more or less not really a review. It was more so talking about just why I chose that camera, and I think that by that time I hadn't really used that camera as much, but I've had over the last 9 months an opportunity to use it for various different reasons: client work, behind the scenes, personal use, etc. And I really just want to talk about it before we get hit with a barrage of just different products coming out in Q4 of 2023 going into 2024. And I want to talk about how good of a camera this still is at the price point that it is. Now, I don't just want to heap praise about this camera when it comes to just the photo side. I also want to talk about it in video. Although it does have a 4K crop, and we've talked about that, that's one of the downfalls of this camera that people have talked rigorously about in regards to video. It doesn't have the best dynamic range, but in a controlled environment, which is why I used this camera while I was on vacation in Chicago. I wanted to see what this camera would be like traveling as an everyday use, or for someone who is looking to get into video or photos. And this is what I created while I was out in Chicago. I was just bored one morning, woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and just felt like shooting something because I was excited about our vacation. And this is what I created. This camera does a really good job with highlights and shadows in a more controlled environment, in situations where you cannot control the highlights. You're not going to have the ability to recover highlights because this camera does not have great dynamic range. But at the same time, I'm never really shooting in most situations where I can't control the lighting. So we did use this camera also for behind the scenes, which we were able to capture using this lens, or the Sigma Art 18-35 plus this camera body. Overall, it's just been a good workhorse overall for me, not just in photo but also in video. In regards to the photo side, I've never thought to myself, oh man, I wish I had the latest autofocus because I'm not capturing the type of photos that I want. This camera does a great job. I mean, you have a 30 megapixel full frame readout. You can't really beat that in regards to any of the cameras that recently came out. I don't care which R you put up against this. This thing is a rival to even the EOS R5, which is a $3,500 camera. I wouldn't compare it necessarily to the EOS R5C because that is more of a cinema line. They have cinema features, so especially in that is a photo and a hybrid camera, so I just wouldn't compare it to that. But in regards to the photos and the images that you can get, you cannot beat this. Now, I do have my gripes, and I'll get to those very quickly. It does not have dual card slots, so if you're a professional, that is something that is a little scary, so it may be something you want to think about. But for me, I'm a professional shooter, and I haven't had any card fail on me ever, so I'm not really worried too much. And maybe that's not a good way to think about it, because I do have, peace knowing that my C70 has dual card slots, and I can use one as a backup way to back up any footage that we do capture. But I just haven't had any issues. So if you are looking for that, you won't find that in EOS R. And then lastly, the back of the camera that does not have the infamous spin wheel to be able to control ISO. But luckily, even though I hate that, luckily all of the EOS R lenses, they do have, if you can see here, they have the spin dial. Come on, focus for me. They have a spin dial where Canon was wise enough to put all of their lenses with this spin dial, just in case they do get a camera body that does not have a spin wheel on it. So overall, I really enjoy this camera. I think it's a great camera, and hopefully I've shown enough examples. I know Canon, Sony, everybody's gonna be coming out with their best and putting their best foot forward. There's no bad camera in 2023. So I just wanted to re-emphasize that before all of these camera companies start to market their new line of cameras, or whenever that is, or whenever it drops. So check out the EOS R if you haven't already. And who knows, maybe in the next 6 months, if Canon drops a camera that's similar to the EOS R, or if not better, I might consider upgrading. But until then, I'll be rocking with the EOS R. SWNUP.